Your host, and I'm here as I am every Wednesday at 12:30 Mountain Standard Time with Pete Ambrosino. Pete, welcome. It's wonderful to have you today.
I'm super excited about being here with you, Michelle. This is becoming a really nice. I look forward to our time together each week because not only do I get to talk about some amazing topics, but it also reinforces it to us who are helping so many. So it's a great way to reinforce all that learning for me as well.
Yeah, I agree. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. I am too. So Pete Ambrosino is an international business coach among many, many other things. But this is really what we focus on discussing Wednesdays, really is business coaching. And today I stand in front of you in perfect equilibrium, perfect balance. I'm joking. I'm lying. But we're going to talk about, should we call it a myth of work-life balance? The balancing act that we play as business owners.
Yeah, I say call it what it is. I mean, it's everybody's potential goal of having this work-life balance and never being able to achieve it and wondering why.
Okay. Have any of you out there ever wondered if it's only you? I think we all start feeling that way. Like it's such a big topic. People are always talking about how important it is. So what is your stance on that? You know, it is important, but is it even possible?
So I would invite you to think of it this way. My perception is that I think it's a myth. I think it's BS. I think that, and I'm going to repurpose this, but I'm going to take this from my mentor and say that, you know what, I would venture to call it work-life integration.
Yes, that is so great. I love that. Okay, carry on. I have a lot to say about that.
You know, what's interesting is when we were texting earlier and we were looking at topics to talk about today, you know, I had a couple client calls before we jumped on here. And what's amazing is like the power of intention. This exactly came up in their world today.
Okay.
It exactly came up in the world. I'm on a call with, or on a Zoom with a client, and she is, you know, we're kind of going back and looking back in my notes, and I'm like, wait a minute. For the past couple of months, we were working on these 3 areas here, and we're not really making enough progress in that. What's really going on? And I'm like thinking, okay, she's got to come clean here somehow, right? What's going on? And she literally came out with it today and said, I just don't have enough time. And I'm like, oh my God, shame on me for not identifying this earlier, right? But it turned out that it was perfect time. Sorry, that's my parrot, Lily.
I love seeing your parrot and your Viking accoutrements in the background. Your Viking thing is usually shining from the fan. It always looks like it's literally on fire, but not today. So we can focus more on what is the bird's name?
So that's Lily. She's my supervisor.
Lily.
She always takes her spot in here and makes sure that I do a good job with my clients. However, she does sound like a fire alarm every once in a while when she hears mom downstairs. So I apologize ahead of time. But anyway, getting back to this, thank you for that. It's my gladiator up there, right?
Love it. Power.
Right. So what ultimately started this was, you know, I'm going to say the first distinction was, how do you feel about your ability, Michelle, to say no?
Much better than I used to, for sure.
Why is that?
Well, because it's impossible, because I was years ago, you know, the mom, the homeschooling mom, running a business, teaching my kids at home. And the woman, it's really true, gets to be the one, hey, could you run by and pick this up and make dinner and make cookies for the bake sale and. It never ends.
It never ends. And the gotta minutes and the, you know.
Yeah, for my heart, my friend. Yeah.
Sure. And a natural instinct of any woman is to nurture and say, absolutely, you need my help. I'm there.
Yeah.
And then we park our own needs onto the side because, oh, that doesn't matter. We'll pick that up later. I've got to go help Susie.
Yeah. And
Right.
especially when you have your own business, you're
Ah,
saying, this is my passion. It's everything. If I could only get it launched or get to this level or whatever. And that is the first thing we drop.
100%. 100%. So how did you gain the courage to start saying no? What was that pivoting moment for you? What did you realize that gave you that courage?
Pain. It's always pain. For me, it was, I can't live without sleep anymore. It's killing me.
Yes.
And that was a time when we didn't talk about it's okay to sleep. That was like that era of hustle culture all the time. You only need 3 hours of sleep. And I would shamefully creep away and try to take a 20-minute power NASA nap, but
Yes.
never let anyone know. Now, at least we can talk about that kind of thing. Like it's okay to eat and sleep and hydrate and exercise.
You know what? And I got news for you. The power of a good night's sleep and proper sleep has everything to do with longevity and the ability to stay on this planet for many more years.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so important. I mean, literally, I don't know if you've ever seen the Whoop band, but this Whoop band thing is, you have one, you know what it's doing. It's monitoring everything about me, and it's checking in on my sleep and saying, hey, you had a crappy night's sleep. You got to fix it tonight.
Yeah.
It's so powerful, right? And what's your, and you alluded to it, as soon as why did the sleep suffer?
Because I had no boundaries. I had to be all things to all people. Most women have terrible boundaries. We just assume that we wouldn't be asked if we weren't supposed to handle it.
Right.
And so you have to, I mean, and being selfish is a sin,
Absolutely. That right there, God forbid I take care of me and I tell you about it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And it's changing now. It used to really be like that for sure.
Yep.
But I think now, anyway, go ahead, because I have some comments about that too.
So let me just kind of unpack this with you. So like I was talking about the funny about picking the topic for today and what we're talking about. And then it comes up with a client. We start hammering it out and working it through. And all of a sudden, I can see the decompression happen like a balloon. Okay. When I said, when's the last time anybody has ever actually worked through this with you, or the thinking of how many? Okay. So first of all, let's clear the air. There's 15 different ways to manage your time. And there's 15 different ways that you can create a system on how to do it. Right. But when do you actually get to sit with somebody and strategize on how you're going to do it? You don't. You're not doing it with your counselor. You're not doing it with your girlfriends. You're not doing it.
True. That's so true. I know I'm interjecting again, but that's so true. We all are really good at like time blocking and morning routines, and you get it all organized. Okay, so speak to that.
Well, the pitfalls that come up are, if let's say you are good at time blocking, and she had time blocking in her calendar.
Totally. I mean, on the calendar, we're good at it.
In fact, she was so good at it, she had 2 calendars going at the same time. And guess what was happening? They were fighting each other. Here's my work schedule. Here's my personal schedule. And they didn't communicate at all.
Yeah, there's like a silent calendar that we don't want to put on the calendar. There's like a secret calendar in our mind that I think.
100%. And it's like, oh yeah, you know what? I've got that planned and I got to go pick up Johnny from school, but I can certainly fit in going to the dry cleaning and doing that on the way home. And get the heck out. Come on. Right. So it was so amazing to be able to sit, because I told her flat out, I said, listen, if we don't get this under control, if we don't kill the monster while it's a baby right now, right? If we don't do that, we're never going to make progress in these other three areas that are so important about getting you out and on your business and not in it.
You're never going to make progress on those important goals
It'll never happen.
without getting that foundation.
I
Yeah.
literally said, you might as well, you fire me now. If we don't make progress on this, fire me now.
Mm,
So she understood how important it was that we really need to drill and build some energy and some focus on this and leave everything else aside just temporarily.
great. So how are you doing that?
Oh my goodness. So I told you about the calendars that were fighting each other, right? Well, the first idea is, how do you like to organize yourself? How do you like to capture them? And then we figure out, okay, let's focus on one that can be the easiest way, that is everywhere. Can it be on your phone, on your computer, at your desk, and it updates itself constantly? Google owns everything. We might as well embrace Google Calendar.
Exactly. Boy, do I agree with that for sure.
I mean, I can't imagine if I wanted, yeah, if I wanted to go undercover and somebody not to find me, it would be super hard.
Yes.
No,
I know it. Give up now. Give up and organize yours. You got to kind of like join the evil and use it to your advantage, right?
It's so true. It's so true. We have to embrace the technology. So inviting technology is step one. You know, I always like to start out with another client, you know, with customers and planning. And so he's a manual guy, for example. So he literally started out with a 3-ring binder. Let's capture what's going on. Let's create some sort of whatever's in your brain right now. Let's get it on paper. Let's actually look at it so we can play with it and move it around. Who has ever sat with you as a person that cared about your schedule and actually worked on your world in that format? It just doesn't happen.
I love that you're taking the time to do that, because I think we've all, like you said, been given the tools. We know the strategy, and somehow sitting down and doing it, like actually doing it with someone, is a completely different experience. And it's a lot more difficult to, not that any of us lie to ourselves, but to lie to yourself, because you're getting feedback from someone and maybe you're asking pertinent questions that I don't even want to ask myself. I don't really want to admit that I'm also in between A and B, picking up the cleaning, picking up takeout, you know, washing the car, all that stuff. So,
you know, and the funny thing is that my coach and the people that are in my mastermind this week, we all had a similar conversation with each other about, as our businesses are growing, things that need to come off of our to-do list in order to allow the growth.
yes.
So if you think this is just a fix it and done and move on thing, you know what? We always need it. We always need that second set of eyes looking in and saying, hey, you know what? Here's some different perspective that you may not have known about. And what I love about what you also said to me, I honor you in identifying that I like to be on time.
Yes.
And I like to show, okay. So it has to do with values. You have to find out, speaking to your question about how, we have to unpack what's important to someone about their schedule.
Oh, so true.
Right? Because if you and I have the same values, man, we're showing up for each other. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to, my fear, I don't want to let Michelle down. Okay. Michelle's counting on me to show up. I can't let my word go. You see what I'm saying?
Totally. I agree 100%. And it makes everything so much easier, honestly, because your decision making just becomes more elegant. Oops, sorry.
That's all right.
I forgot to turn off my phone.
But
Go
see,
ahead.
here's the other component too, right? You and I are not coaching each other right now. But you know what's happening is that we're affirming what we do and how we do it, that it makes sense and it's adding value to others. And just that function alone to me, that's what gives me the fulfillment of what we do.
That's what gives you the fulfillment. It seems like a really simple statement, but it's really packed with a lot of power, what you just said, because I think that brings us back to this balance issue. Like, when you're really connected to that, why you're doing something, then every time we come on here, I don't know if 1,000,000 people are going to see this, or half of one person's attention
This
is
one
going
is
to be on it.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter, because both of us are so tied in to why we're doing this. So maybe you can speak to that a little bit, and about the work-life balance thing, the integration and it's all mixed in together, right?
It's perfect. It's perfect, because here's the thing. The balance, there's so many, like you kind of identified before we got on, that there's so many different roles that mom plays, wife plays, friend plays. Okay, we have all these hats that we wear, right? Guess what? We can probably only focus on maybe 3 outcomes, maybe 2, that we can actually say, hey, you know what? By the end of this week, these 2 or 3 things are going to have progress in them. Now, with that focus, other things get a little neglected or not focused on. Okay. So the goal is, when are you checking in with yourself around those? What's the habit that you have to catch? What am I measuring? How frequently am I measuring it? Because here's the secret. The balance doesn't exist, but the attention does.
Yes, I love that. The balance doesn't exist, but the attention does.
Yeah. So let's just say, hey, this week was really, and I'll use me as a case in point. My wife just got back from a trip.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So she got back, and we just jumped right into all the have-tos of everything this week. And we have not had our time together. Just haven't focused on it. We talked about it this morning. It's like, okay, wait a minute. So we have to say, okay, now I want to set the intention, because trip got in the way, different distractions happened. Now I need to identify, hey, you know what? This is becoming an outcome for before this week is out. Date night. And that's how you catch it. It's that simple. What system would you like to put in place that you live by, and that gives you the ability to identify and catch them?
I'm gonna put something before you that I'm personally struggling with. I hope it helps someone out there, for me to admit my my weakness here. But I'm really good at being that air traffic controller that you talk about. I work really well under a lot of action and activity, and I get more done. I'm more productive. I'm more on track. I'm more organized. What I am personally having a challenge with, it's like you wait for this moment in life, and then it came to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. But it is more space, less demands from all of the domestic side of things. Like, children are not little anymore. Children growing up and being more, honestly, more competent than I can ever hope to be in my entire life. I know what matters to me now, so I don't waste time on silly things. Like,
tell me more. What's mattering to you more now than it used to?
Spiritual practices matter. Communicating with the right people. I put more time, like closing loops on things. I'm finishing books, closing loops on things that I didn't have time for before. And that requires internal discipline.
100%.
So it's a different shift. Like, it's always, I was talking to someone about this yesterday, actually, that it's a whole different thing. Like, and this is a kind of, it may sound kind of shallow, but like when you're dating or whatever, and you're like going to Costa Rica like last year, and I was like, I just want to wear a bikini. I was at the gym twice a day and walking. Now it's like things have just eased in a different way. I can't even explain it. It's just no really hard deadlines. I
Mm.
serve my clients, they get results. I'm happy. If they're not, I deal with it. But it's just it's just different.
So,
So
tell me the challenge again, the need for space. So things are clearing and that's giving
too
the
much space, not enough stress, not
uh,
enough pressure,
oh,
not enough
interesting.
intensity, not enough wild action everywhere that
Uh,
forces me to get to the gym by 5:30. Now I like maybe show up at 6:45, and I'm like, I could even go later in the day, and I can control my entire schedule. I
got it.
like having structure. When you have kids, man, you're organized. You
No
just
question about
get your shit together every day. You're doing it all.
it. Yep.
So my point is, like, as things, I don't know, it's just a different orientation. I find I have to be more self-disciplined.
So can I have your permission to give you some feedback on that?
Totally. Yes. I'm putting myself out there, like, coach me. It will help someone. Other people have this problem. I guarantee it.
So we all go through phases of life, and
Yeah.
you hit on a big one that you've done an amazing job with your kids. They're on their own, self-sufficient, responsible for their life right now, less for mom to do. Mom's purpose might have been fading away.
Well, I don't know if the purpose, but the purpose too. Like, even my son that lives with me, he won't let me do anything for him. He
Okay.
does, like, he cooks for me. He's not, you don't have to clean up Legos anymore. It's just like that different shift into midlife, where your kids, you just have different attention, and my business is organized.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like no crisis. There are
So
no crises.
there's no crisis. Yeah. So that's beautiful. So what's happening
It's
in
terrible, beautiful,
it's
beautiful,
terrible.
terrible.
Yep. So now there's this space that you have,
Mm-hmm.
organized chaos, right? And no mission, compelling future, purpose, reason. Could be one of those four. Not sure which.
I feel like I have all of those in my business,
Yeah.
right? Like, what it becomes about now is serving the women that I work with. I mean, that's my compelling mission. And that's like the retreats and all the stuff, the coaching and the book writing and everything. But it's very different than like when I was running a restaurant, where it's like bam, 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 stuff is happening all the time. So
So the
so
interruptions, you're missing the interruptions.
oh yeah, I miss the chaos
Yeah.
and the excitement and the performance and the event. Like, I'm good at that.
Yeah.
So it's a different type of motivation. I mean, we're going down a rabbit trail. We don't have to keep going
No,
in
it's
that
because I
direction, but
mean,
I think it's really interesting that
it is, and here's the
it's my
simple,
life.
yeah, here's the simple question. What would you like to do with all that extra time?
Um, well, I do have a new business I'm working on, but you know what I really want to do is close the loops on like these two books.
Hmm.
I really want to do that, but that's a very calm thing. It's a lot of battle inside my mind and emotions and stuff, but it's a very calm thing.
So what's the relationship between the discipline that you loved to practice and the direction that you see yourself in the future? What's the relationship between those?
I don't understand the question. Can you help me?
So if you were to
Now
say
this has turned into a live coaching session, everyone.
about it, right? Oh my goodness. This is where I would go. And I'll tell you what's in the back of my mind and why I'm leading you down this direction.
Mhm.
The driving factor around getting to the gym was I wanted to look good in a bikini.
Well, there was a lot more to it than that, but I'm just saying that was last year. It was really easy. Yeah.
The
Shade.
drive,
Shade.
yep,
Yeah.
the drive to make sure I'm an example for my kids until they're self-sufficient. We close that book, right? Is that fair?
Not really. Because I
No.
think that my driving force is really now more like legacy and like real estate investment and, building. I mean, I do have things I want to do. I want to save the artists and all kinds of stuff like that.
Okay.
But it really comes down to the discipline of this two hard things. Yeah.
And the two hard things are what
I
again?
got to finish the book.
Okay. So that's the gap. That's the piece right there. Okay, got it. So there's no chaos in finishing them. It's just a matter of discipline to sit.
Because no one cares. No one cares, right?
Oh my God.
No one cares. That's when it's really hard.
Who are you going to help when the book's done?
Yeah, all of them.
No, I mean, give me a sense of what is the purpose of your book?
It really is for the women I work with. It's and that comes back to your thing of vision, like staying connected to that being the vehicle. Honestly, it's kind of a microcosm for everybody, every woman, every man's business, really. Like, how do I get through the difficult stuff to serve more people?
Yeah.
And then you fight all the stuff, the doubt, is it good enough? I don't want to regurgitate. I want to be, all of that stuff. It's no different than a business, actually.
So here comes a super powerful question.
Hey.
Your spiritual side.
Yes.
What if the spiritual side of you or your maker or was creating space in your life for something you just don't know what it is yet?
Well, I already know that. Just everybody knows what's going on. That's why I have the space, because this book was shown me a long, long time ago. Nice. And honestly, this is why I do what I do, because they're just like me.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like me.
I know. We are all
just fighting something.
We're all fighting something. Absolutely. And you know what? To be vulnerable as well. I mean, if you think your coach is leading a perfect life, you're smoking crack, right? Because the reason we coach is to one, I want to be an example of what's possible, right? I don't need to outperform you in any way, but I certainly need to keep learning and being a student of what's going on. And if I keep my mind open, and see, this is why balance is BS.
It is. It's a lie.
It's a lie. It's not achievable. You're not setting yourself up for success by looking for balance, because balance doesn't feel good.
Yeah. There is a state of equilibrium, though. And I think that comes from what you were saying earlier, the values, the spiritual connection, and honestly, figuring out your own flow. Like you were saying, your own calendar, like which way is going to work for you. So for me, if it's like, okay, what I have been doing is an hour and a half of writing, and then I get to like bounce on the trampoline or I go outside and like run around the park or something like that. And it just seems so almost silly to me that I'm treating myself like a 5-year-old, but truly that kind of is, I'm moving along,
Big time.
progressing.
Big time.
And sometimes I think it has to be like that. And so, everything that you're sharing and the fact that I'm here, like opening it all to all of you, it's because we all really are human.
Yeah.
And we all have, like what I just said about having this thing inside of me. That's why I do what I do, because I know everyone has that thing. And it's just as hard for me to acknowledge it and go after it.
And I'll tell you what, I'll open this up and be super transparent.
Thank you.
I fully believe that we are here for a bigger purpose than ourselves, and
Yes.
that we are guided. And I do everything I can at all times to listen and be guided. And just to me, it's not about faith anymore,
Yeah.
because I don't need faith. Faith is something that I believe that I just kind of hope it's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a knowing for me. It helps me guide my clients. It helps me get guidance for my own life, because we're all learning, right? If I can learn and help others at the same time, how freaking cool is that?
If you can learn and help others at the same time, it's the coolest thing in the world.
Coolest thing in the world. That's
Yeah.
right. And my learning and my stories around all the crap that I've been through and the crap that you've been through is going to help somebody.
Yeah.
Right. It's that, oh, I'm not alone thing, but but the idea is there's lessons learned, and we're going to shorten those lessons for everybody. So cool.
Now, honestly, when you are speaking about knowing versus faith, so it's almost like at the very lowest level, it's like hope, right? And then we all have heard hope is not a strategy, but sometimes you really just need someone to show you that there is hope, possibility, right? And then faith, and then you get to this place of knowing.
Yeah.
I think that's when the balance doesn't even become an issue. Like when I think of every time I've been really, really tied into a vision of a business, it never occurred to me to think about anything except there.
Yep.
And everything else, if I had to drag it with me or push it along or balance it or shove it to the side or whatever, it's like it became inconsequential. Like
because
you're
your
just
spiritual
so
journey,
focused. Yeah.
spiritual journey is far more important than the actual goal of the business.
And at the end of the day, I think the good news is like it's all intertwined.
Oh, yeah.
You can't really separate life. Like you were talking about this at the beginning, integration. How do you, and we live in a time now where we're not called to do that as much. Things are kind of, don't you agree? Like that's happening where life and business, well, the whole thing with the workforce and the Zoom and the work at home and everybody's homeschooling their kids instead of just the weirdos like I was. And all of these things have become more acceptable. Like it's okay to have a quote unquote side hustle. It used to be you had to hide that or whatever. So all of these, everything about a more holistic life is more socially and culturally accepted.
See, and here's the thing, in as much as we'll call it the Great Resignation is perceived as being a bad thing, here's what I'm most grateful for about everybody learning from it. People started realizing the value of their dashboard time driving to and from an office every day, and how much time is complete. They can't get it back. But now I can just roll in, be even more productive in front of my Zoom or on my computer and go about and have a life.
Yeah, talk about time management.
Oh my God. So who would want to go back and say, okay, pandemic, whatever catastrophe's over, let's go back to the old way of doing things when I've had a taste of what's possible?
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
No. Values.
So how about the power and the permission to be able to create what kind of lifestyle I want?
Yeah.
How about the power and the permission that I get to now decide where my time goes, and screw balance. I want to integrate what I want to integrate. I'm going to listen to the powers that be on my, and who do I need to become?
Who do I need to become? I keep going back to when you said integration, because when everything is integrated, there is no balance.
Right.
It's one. It's
Yep.
like, and this is why the whole thing about like personal branding, I know that's kind of going away now too, but it's more like, who am I? What matters to me? What did you just say? Who do I need to become?
Sure. Your journey of building this other business, writing this book, you're
Mhm.
changing as you're doing it.
Right.
You're becoming a different person.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
how about if our job is not to figure it out, but our job is to enjoy the darn journey?
Yes. I know that used to seem so trite. Now it's an actual realistic, not only is it a potentiality, it's almost like a requirement.
I mean, I look forward, there's another reason why I look forward to showing up with you today, because, hey, we just started this a few weeks ago. I'm looking forward to what I learn and become better at talking to a camera. Who talked to a camera pre-pandemic?
Only people like me. No, I'm kidding.
No, but you see what I'm saying, right? It's like
Yeah,
now everybody, you throw a camera in front. Oh yeah, so I'm just me right now.
I know.
So it's kind of cool, actually.
Yes, I think it's amazing.
Yep.
All of these barriers are breaking down so that you don't have to, in the background, juggle everything and pretend like you're not. You don't have to pretend you're not taking a nap.
Yep.
Now you're really cool if you take one because you've got a watch and everything. You're like, yeah, I'm on the health journey. I'm doing
There's a nap app for that, right?
Yes, if there's an app for it, then you have permission to do it. And it means that you're cutting edge. Those used to be things to be ashamed of. It's crazy how the world is, it's changing in a really good way.
I for one, I mean, with all of the uncertainty and fear and just, I mean, you can plug into a lot of negative if you really want to right now, and let it consume you. One of the things I'm working on is watching less news, so I'll be perfectly transparent with that. But the point I'm making is that we get permission to create our life and create that focus, and the integration that we're talking about. We get to not forget about what's important. We get to decide.
Yes.
We get to decide how we're going to focus on it. Hey, maybe when this one category that is just becoming a mountain, and it now looks like, hey, wow, for me to build this business, create this podcast, create this coaching collective becomes so big. The question now becomes, well, who do I need to align with?
Yeah.
Who can help me?
This is also, I love that you said that. Who else do I need to align with and collaborate with? And this is really becoming the new norm as well. Like, this is the opportunity right now. The whole idea of, honestly, I know you can plug into fear. I guess I'm so unplugged from that, that all I see really is, I don't know. I see barriers breaking down. Like, competition is shifting to collaboration. Even like your friend Tony Robbins is doing this, big name people that don't even need to collaborate. Everyone is coming together, and I know it's hallmarky again, but we do rise together.
Yep.
And we're learning how to do that, and people are better served that way. I mean, that's what the coaching collective is all about. Like, if you're not the right coach, someone else is.
Here's the other point to accelerate what you're just saying. The whole reshuffle of everybody staying home, the resignation. Now we have a tool in front of us to find our people, to find our tribe. Spend more time with those that give us energy instead of take away energy, right? So the opportunity you're seeing where when fear is in the mainstream and or just in the air in general, now we see that, hey, we've got the tools to attract the people that we want to hang out with the most. How amazing is that?
It's totally amazing. There are no limitations.
So I don't feel less connected by not going into an office every day. I feel like, you know what? The whole world, I mean, I have international clients. I have people in Australia, in UK. I've got people all over the world that I communicate with on an ongoing basis. It's every week. I get to do that.
I know. It's amazing.
Are you kidding
It's
me?
really expansive.
Right.
Yeah, you're not less connected because you're not going into an office. You're more connected, to your point, to the people that you choose to connect with.
Yep.
And it's limitless.
Talk about an integration tool, boy. I'll tell you what.
What a time we're living in.
It's super exciting.
The only thing, like, back to the balance, what I hear you saying is it's not really about balance. It's about being clear on what you want to do, and then just figuring out the way it works best for you to do those things that really, really matter. It's not like,
I'm gonna give you the perfect example of that.
Okay.
We for a lot of years, we had this beautiful boat on the Chesapeake that we would go down to every year or every weekend for 8 months out of the year, and hate to put it away in November, right? So we were super overprotective of this boat, okay? And there was, with having a boat, and to any boat owner out there, you'll know exactly when I say this, that it's true. And it's also true for a vehicle, okay? But when you have a boat, no matter how good you take care of it, no matter how much attention you put on it. I mean, my wife had a funny comment when she saw me waxing the back end of the boat. She equated it to something else that was pretty funny. That's how, okay, so you understand.
Yes.
But here's the thing about a boat. Something is always breaking. You just don't know what it is yet.
Oh, great.
Right. And the more that we get into discovery mode, or we crawl around the engine room, or we get into the back compartments and we see what's going on, we inspect the bottom of the boat when you pull it out and so forth. Hey, we get to see what could potentially sneak up and surprise us. You're still laughing about that first comment. I know you are.
All kinds of thoughts are going through my mind right now.
Right? I'm turning red myself. So, but it's funny because you take care of a boat like you take care of a woman, in my opinion, because she will always take care of you in the sea, right? But my point is that if we looked at life, we looked at our business, we looked at our personal, because there's only two categories. We have our personal life, we have our business life. What other life do we have? Usually, right? Could have a little secret life going on, but that's different. That's still personal. But the point is now what needs attention in those two areas, and what do I get to decide? What do I get to create around that? And that's the integration piece.
I really love this conversation. We live in a time where integration is the theme, really. And so there's no excuse not, and the thing that is the most difficult and the most simple, which is really being who you are, figuring that out, and showing up as you, is actually not only an option, but it's celebrated. Like, it's crazy. And anybody can get on and have a TV show. Anybody can, like, whatever your message is, it matters if you give yourself permission to let it matter.
Yep.
It's a really interesting,
it is
new. It's opportunity. So the integration part kind of solves the problem of, balancing, because you're not fighting polarities. You're just like stepping in with your values and your mission and your clarity and your true self. And I love that.
And it's not hocus pocus.
Hey, what happened to the boat metaphor? Where did that end? How did
the boat? Oh,
Yeah.
I tell you, the short version of the story is, I mean, we've been boaters since we've been together, and we've always had something to float in, right?
Okay.
But the challenge was that we were driving 3.5 hours one way
Oh
to
my
Annapolis
gosh.
every weekend. And it
Yeah.
was like, this is crazy because, as you can imagine, I'm probably not the most patient driver you've ever met. And three
Okay.
and a half hours in a truck is not good. So we had to move to a place where we were super close to the water. Blessed to be able to, I'm so blessed and grateful that I get to coach from the beach here in Florida. So it's beyond exceeded our expectations. And we get to go out on the water anytime we want. Much smaller boat, don't need the big boat that we have to, put all this time and effort into by any stretch of the imagination. In 3 minutes, I can put my boat in the water from where we're at. So it's kind of cool.
So the
But
point of this is like, don't be owned by your, like you can be free by aligning with what really matters. That's how it started. What really, really matters to you. I was trying to remember how we got on this
no,
because it was a,
literally the need to be around the water designed
yeah,
our life the way it is right now.
yes.
It designed it. There's no
And it
question.
was so easy. And then it becomes almost effortless because you're just aligned and and you choose.
The guiding and the pulling, because when it's pulling you, it's not that it's easy, it's just much easier to listen when it's pulling you. And it knows this is where I get to be, this is the place I get to coach from, this is the place I get to just go in my backyard and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I live here. It's so, I mean, I can go on with the gratitude piece, but the gratitude that's in my life right now, and bringing this around to the integration and
Mhm,
what's so powerful about being in a coaching collective where people get to pick the one that's right for them.
mhm.
It's super important because if what each coach is saying, how you articulate what's possible for a woman, how I articulate what's possible for a business person, it has to sit, and it has to hit them like a ton of bricks just gave them permission to be who they are.
Yes. So powerful.
Because I mean, if anything, I give my coaches credit for doing that with me. I never experienced that with my family, my parents. I never experienced it with business partners. I never experienced what I experienced with my coach like I have.
You
It's
know,
unbelievable.
it's so it's great that you shared that. And it really is true. A coach is a very unique coaching relationship is a very unique relationship.
Mhm.
And I was talking to someone about this yesterday, actually, who is thinking about kind of transferring into coaching from many, many years in another industry. But I don't want to go into too much detail, but
That's right.
um, it was it was so curious to me the perspective that he had on what coaching is, because being inside and having been coached, and I see that there is a lot of overlap with, like, there's mentorship. Sometimes it feels like a therapist, sometimes it feels like a consultant. It depends on what you're dealing with, but there is a distinct difference.
Yeah.
And a coach, in my opinion, this is just me, will never allow you to sit in your crap, I guess. Like they will never tolerate your lesser version of who you are. Like
Yep.
they're just going to call you out on it in a way that hopefully you can hear and take action on. And that is just not the truth with consultants,
Yeah.
um, therapists. What was the other one I said?
Advisors or
Oh,
counselors,
mentors.
mentors.
Even
Yeah.
even a mentor sometimes will or sometimes won't. But I think it's really that relationship when someone cares enough about you and sees you
Yeah.
when you cannot see yourself
Big
and
time.
they pull you to the other side,
Yep.
there is nothing like, I mean, I can feel that all in my body right now. There is nothing like that.
Yep.
And it's imperative that you're with the right person, whoever that might be, that can see you.
Yes.
Like,
Absolutely.
that's integration, where they can see you as a person and a business owner and your potential and your fallacies and all of it. Like,
Sure. And you know what, and what's so amazing about it is, we do kind of wear a few different hats. At least I do in what I
yeah,
do in my profession. A coach doesn't have the answer. He asks the right questions to allow you to discover what the right answer is.
yeah,
The consultant side of me has been there before, has made the mistakes, and can kind of tell you what not to do,
yeah,
or put enough questions in your mind that, hey, we need to do a little more discovery around that. Hey, on what's possible here, because hey, maybe I don't know how to make these widgets in a manufacturing set, but I can certainly ask you the right questions to get the right outcome of getting them out on time. Right.
mhm,
So being able to bounce back and forth, I think, is a hidden
totally.
skill, right? And that's where, when you look to hire a coach, they're not there to give you the answers. They're there to guide you through the path of learning so that you find what they are.
Yes.
Right.
And there is, like in business, and this is why I think you spoke to this last week, actually, where you'll say, okay, do I have permission to take off my coaching hat and
Mm.
help you with a strategy? Because you're not going to sit there and watch someone who's drowning die. but there is, it's just a relationship that you navigate, and it's interpersonal skill and communication. So all of it matters, but those magical moments in coaching are just magical.
When a client calls you up
Mhm.
after, not a non-scheduled call, and
Yeah.
say, oh my God, you cannot believe I just found out how much it costs to produce my widget, and never knew the cost of goods or cost of production, and now sees how they can get even more efficient and understand how to even cut the cost even more, because they understand what went into it, because they built the muscle to go discover it.
Isn't it
Something
funny where we
that's
don't, yeah,
it's
crazy.
major,
It's major.
major. Things
Game.
we take for granted in business, like, oh, wait a minute, you don't know. Okay, so we need to dive into that, because this is going to give you even more learning. You know what I mean? So I could go on and on. I mean, I love what we talk about, but the time, if I can get you, if I can give you the power, your power back, to control your time and say no,
Mhm.
we win. We win right there.
Yes. Yes.
Because that's where you now have the ability to create. And when you've never been asked before, hey, Michelle, 2 books are done, you got this business going on over here, what's next?
See, I know what's next.
Most
I
don't though, right?
was.
Most don't though, right?
I don't know. Well, it's true. It is true that the question that really stumps in I did a workshop every Saturday for like 10 months.
Okay.
And it was always, and often I'd have new people come in, and the question was, what do you want? Kind of
Mhm.
basic.
Yeah.
And we would start there on these different groups. And yes, really, it would blow my mind when we would have the time to go around and have everyone say, like in their small groups. And after months, sometimes they'd still be trying to figure it out.
Big time. Big time.
That's, yeah, that's
Because
painful.
here's the block. What happens is, if I'm so overwhelmed with my schedule and my time, and I'm getting pulled in 6 different directions, when have I even sat there and had a conversation with myself about what I'd like to do with all my spare time when I don't have any?
Mhm. Yes. Well, time to integrate.
I'm doing the great.
Everything you've shared is just tremendous.
I
Pete,
love our
I
time
appreciate
together.
you so much. I do too. I just love it. And integration is really a superpower.
It is. It is. And being able to share share it with somebody, to be able to just bounce ideas and just brain dump, what could even be possible? Because that's where, if I said to you, hey, Michelle, I haven't written a book in a long time. I only wrote two and I'd like to write a third. Do you think what do you think about that? And you're like, oh my God, Pete, we spent all this time on these podcasts. You have so many things to talk about. And now you're actually bouncing back things that on where I would add value, things that I take for granted that I know and studied for a long time. You're like, oh my God, you got to get all this stuff out.
Yeah. You know what's amazing is when you think about all the energy that just flies everywhere when you can't say no because you're
Mm,
not clear.
yeah.
And you get to a point where then you know how to say no. You have a lot of energy to create. This is what you were saying earlier, to help people get to a point where they can create. And if you've got all these leaks everywhere, you don't think they're leaks, you think they're obligations or requirements.
Yep.
And you don't realize you have the authority to choose.
Yep. And then it's about identity too. It's about
Yes.
how do I look at myself? Who do I believe that I am? Am I this warrior that I present myself as with all the stuff around? Am I really that guy? Right? Am I really living that right now? Can I say that I take a stand for something or stand against it? It's huge.
It's huge. And it's such a great time to be alive. Okay, so we could
I
talk
think
for
we
10
have another
hours.
segment on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Thank you so much again for being here today. And anyone that's out there, I know there's a lot of valuable information that Pete shared, and anything that you want to contribute or questions, or if you want to meet with Pete, there's I think I forgot to put your link in last week. I will make sure I do that today. You can literally, he's actually willing to jump on a call. I think it's like a 30-minute call or something, 15 or 30 minutes with anyone who hears these lives. So take advantage of that. And I'd be happy to do the same with you as well. And you can learn more about the Coaching Collective or whatever. But anyway, I appreciate you. I value your time and
So
your expertise and your heart and your head and your bird and your Viking stuff. I know you're going to make it an amazing day, and just thank you for pouring into everyone today. Have
Thank
a
you so
beautiful
much.
day.
It's a pleasure being here. Have a great
Yeah,
week.
me too. See you next week.
You got it.
Bye.